Okay. Hi, everyone. Hey, Dr. Bruce, for episode 10
Hello.
of Toni and Dr. Bruce, which is the third in our Soulmate series, we're talking twin flames. And I'm interested in your take and excited to share mine. By the way, Dr. Bruce, I hear you've got a milestone with your group. Your journey was never meant to end.
That's right, Toni. I'm pleased to say that we just reached 1,500 members. And in honor of that milestone, I'd like to do something really special for our viewers. For a limited time, I'm offering my Soul's Journey Past Life Regression downloadable MP3 PDF program for $27. Now, that's $20 off the normal price of $47. So if you've ever wanted to experience a past life regression at a super affordable price, well, here's your chance. Simply go to the link that you see below, and you're going to find a complete description of the program and everything you'll get. When you get to the checkout, simply enter the discount code JOURNEY27, and you'll pay just $27 instead of the normal $47.
Bonus.
Yeah. Okay. Now, and I understand you've got something of your own going on, Toni.
I do.
Tell us about it.
I do. I'm going to do a quick plug for a soulmate workshop that I have going on in Brisbane, which is in Queensland, Australia, since we're watching from all around the globe. So if you can get there, this workshop is the 25th of May. It's for single men and women. If you're ready or you long to connect, then this is for you. Actually, you can be in a relationship. It doesn't really matter. It's going to be all about soulmates. And I'll paste a link in the description so that you can go and check it out if you feel so inclined. And now, on with the topic at hand. Would you like to start things off, Dr. Bruce?
Sure, I'll be glad to. Let's begin by reviewing some of what we covered in the previous episodes. Now, if you remember, last week we mentioned that the term soulmate commonly holds the connotation of being the strongest bond with another person that one can achieve. And is someone with whom we've shared many past life experiences, and they're invariably members of our soul group. We use that term. Sometimes it's called soul tribe or soul family. And that the original roots of the term are related to the concept of reincarnation. Now, in this context, soulmates are seen as very bonded souls who choose to unite as a couple again and again and again in the romantic sense. Toni?
We also mentioned that according to the theory of reincarnation and also karma, it depends on the extent of your involvement with the other person in that previous life. So if the intensity of your relationship was quite significant, then it's likely that you will have to deal with emotions from this prior life in the current one. So individual souls do tend to return to Earth in subsequent incarnations for the specific purpose of dealing with other souls, but normally in different relationships. Dr. Bruce?
Well, I believe in the first show of this soulmate series, we discussed the first of the three types of soulmates, and that type is the companion soulmate. We said that these types of soulmates are people, meaning companion soulmates, are people you might encounter either as your closest friend or maybe a person you just click with. They're those who work well together. They're project-oriented, well-mated, and they're extremely compatible.
Like us. What do you say to that?
I say absolutely, Toni. I know that we've been traveling companions for many lifetimes. Let me just say, you have exasperated me for at least 1,000 years. By the way, folks, that's an inside joke.
Yeah.
Toni.
Too fun. Okay, but the joining of companion soulmates doesn't necessarily signify a permanent relationship. And in many cases, once the service, the mission or the plan or project is completed, there might be no further need for the relationship and the togetherness vanishes. So companion soulmates, as well as the other, might come together to work out issues or play reverse roles other than that which they experienced in another time or place. So companion soulmates can also be our parents, children, our friends, our relatives, our co-workers, maybe even animals.
Indeed. Now, the second type of soulmate, which we discussed, I believe it was last week, is the karmic soulmate. And this does indeed imply a romantic relationship. Now, this is someone that we're drawn to in order to learn some hard but very needed lessons. And the chemistry between two individuals is a critical factor in determining whether they are indeed karmic soulmates.
Yeah, we saw how when you physically meet a karmic soulmate, it feels magnetic, like there's a static of sparks in the air, and it's good chemistry when all those feelings are mutual. It might start off as a purely physical attraction, but develop into intense sexual chemistry, or there might be sexual chemistry from the very beginning. Finally, a karmic soulmate is a person that we're mated to with a deep and honest, intimate connection.
That's true. That's very true. And now the third type of soulmate that we're going to discuss this week, get into a little more detail in a couple of minutes, is the twin flame. The first mention of what's later come to be interpreted as a description of twin flames comes from the ancient Greek philosopher Plato in his dialogue, The Symposium. And Plato wrote, and when one of them meets with his other half, the actual half of himself, the pair are lost in an amazement of love and friendship and intimacy. And one will not be out of the other's sight, even for a moment.
So, Dr. Bruce, is this true love? Probably, or as I see it, a chance to learn about independence and codependency.
Now, if I'm understanding you correctly, Toni, you seem to be implying that true love and interdependence, codependency are mutually exclusive. Well, while not necessarily earmarks of a healthy relationship, that doesn't exclude true love. And I kind of think that Plato was partaking of a poetic license anyway. And anyway, what's wrong with the other person being the cream of their coffee, the yin to the yang, and vice versa, so to speak? You know, it's like two dance partners. I'm a great fan of Dancing with the Stars. It's like two dance partners in perfect unison, but each with their own inimitable style. I think that a woman who finds a Fred to her Ginger and the man who finds a Ginger to his Fred is fortunate indeed. Now, to continue, while we all have a twin flame, most people mistake karmic soulmates for twin flame soulmates, which that's kind of understandable. There are, however, many differences, and some are subtle and some are intense. I came across this quote several years ago, and I jotted it down. I couldn't even tell you who said it, where it came from. I don't remember. For me, at least, it describes the classic perception of a twin flame to a T. And this person wrote, "It's raw, and it's so damn real, you just want to run away just to soak it up and take it in." The soulmate, the one you feel vibrate when they're 1,000 miles away, the one you hear whisper when they think about you, the one who lets you move freely but embraces your shadow from afar, that one, the one you feel like you've known for 1,000,000 years. So for the romantically inclined, the search for the soulmate who will make the perfect mate might indeed be a search for that soul's twin flame. So those of you who are engaged in this search now, take careful note. Back to you, Toni.
Yeah. So those who subscribe to the concept of twin flame soulmates believe that these soulmates are formed like when the creator takes a soul and splits it into two as it's cast into human form. In this paradigm, though, each half is supposed to learn the life lessons at its own pace. But when the two halves sometimes cross paths during various lifetimes, they have a cosmic, powerful and dynamic bond because they really are of the same soul. There's incredible chemistry and attraction towards each other. Indeed, it is the personification of the word kismet. It could be said that they complete each other. They're often very much alike, and the intensity of the connection is sometimes, but not always, too much for mere mortals with emotions and issues to handle, so they may painfully end up parting ways. I mean, that's one perception. But I'm going to do a little bubble burster now.
You
Warning, warning, warning.
I'm counting on you too.
Yeah.
Get it away.
Did I overtalk you?
Go ahead.
Okay. So while this concept of the twin flame or the perfect mate thing, I have experienced this intensity and amazement for myself. I wrote about it in my book. Yet I see the truest form of twin flame as both, or the culmination of all aspects of ourselves, not two separate souls merging as like split souls from there coming together down here. What do you think about this, Dr. Bruce?
You know, I've experienced that too. And actually, the classic concept of twin flames does not assume, Toni, the merging of two souls, in my view. Theoretically, the souls have already merged at the time of creation, perhaps as part of the oversoul unit. Now, there is a school of thought among those who embrace the concept of reincarnation that at the time of creation, maybe it's the Big Bang, I don't know, clustered groups of souls came into being in structures consisting of master soul units, which is the true essence of our being. What makes us uniquely us, spiritually speaking, is contained in this conglomeration of soul units. We are indeed part of a whole. So instead of merging, maybe a delicious blending or harmony might be a better phrase. Well, to continue, as we know, knowledge is power. And when there's knowledge, recognition, and understanding of the spiritual dynamics involved in the relationship, coupled with a willingness to work through and overcome these karmic issues, then a different outcome is entirely possible. The potential for volatile and ugly fireworks may then be transformed into a very fiery yet very abiding love, passion. Now, as we mentioned before, Toni, your twin flame is the other half of your soul. Sometimes your twin flame isn't incarnate at the same time as you are, but it stays in the spirit world as a guide and a kind of caretaker. Now, your life lesson may be to make an empowered choice to not be with them in this life. There are times, however, when you and your twin flame do incarnate at the same time. Now, some people believe this is a very rare experience, or at least one that doesn't happen in every lifetime. Toni?
Well, many twin flames are the very definition of maybe star-crossed lovers. That is to say that one can be attached, there can be a considerable age difference, different geographical locations, or the person has some serious issues and is reluctant to open up to the energy because the bond is so intense. Well, while challenging, this type of a relationship often does find a way, as if it's fated or destined to be, which of course it is. And when it does find a way, it brings the potential of deep, powerful passion and mutual completion.
Yeah, I certainly have to agree with that assessment, Toni. Passion and completion. Yeah, I like that. Matter of fact, I'm all for it. Some also believe that a twin flame is the reuniting of the other part of our soul on the last leg of our journey through our many lives on this planet. Now, in this paradigm, only very elevated souls meet twin flames. These are the most powerful, but most destructive, and also the most transformative of experiences. And when they both finish their lessons, they're reunited in heaven and come together as a beautiful representation of love and unity. Twin flames may then be looked on from the viewpoint of being more reward than challenge. It's maybe the completion of plans and events established in prior lives. A little icing on the cake that's taken so long to bake.
Now, isn't that romantic?
Yeah, I think it is too. It's romantic as a candlelight dinner. There are also no hard and fast rules about gender. Couples can take turns being either male or female. However, it seems common during past life regressions for couples to express memories of being the same sex as they are in their present life. Now, it could be, though, that they don't recognize their mate in any memories where the genders are reversed. Now, think about it. It might be very difficult to picture your male partner as a woman, and vice versa. Toni?
You know, I notice in regression that people don't seem to struggle with the concept of being the other sex.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I agree with that to an extent, but I also find that it probably happens more often than people are likely to admit in a past life regression. Oh yeah, you'll get that, but I think it happens much more often than people say. So I think sometimes there's a block. Sometimes there's not. I think it depends upon the person.
It seems to be about the feeling that they recognize, the one that they can sense now, that, you know, the love between the people that they're recalling. Anyway, an alternative viewpoint, if I may. So romantic notions and spiritual idealisms perpetuate the twin flame belief of being destined to only have one love throughout our multiple incarnations. We're conditioned to think that there is one person and thus one soul, and the universe that we're destined to love romantically and wholly, and through finding our twin flame soulmate, we will each obtain our completeness. While the idea of twin flame soulmates spending an eternity in blissful union, you know, it might be the stuff that romance novels are made of. There are some who would argue that this is in fact not the case, apart from the question of how can I discover my life purpose? How can I find my soulmate? Is a question I'm often asked. So people who are afraid of missing out on finding their soulmate, and they're as equally afraid to mess up their current relationship in case that person is their other half. So in the opinion of some, the emphasis on twin flame soulmateship is overrated and mostly misunderstood. They argue that we are not destined to have only one twin flame soulmate, but may indeed have many such relationships over the course of multiple incarnations or reincarnations, thus bringing into play triple, quadruple, quintuple, and even more such flames. Each plays a different role and each has a different lesson to teach and also learn, and all of the flames are part of the other flame. In this paradigm, each soul has numerous soul parts, and they can have a romantic soulmate relationship with, and that being destined for one soul fragment only is simply not true. Although we are all interconnected, we spring from and we're made up of the same source energy. So they argue that the notion of just one twin flame soulmate is limiting. Enlightened, well, people share soulmate connections with everyone and everything, knowing that we are all on a soul level brothers and sisters, and self-actualized people obtain deep and fulfilling relationships by knowing and experiencing their own completeness. Dr. Brew?
Yeah, that's an interesting viewpoint, Toni. Personally, I think there's a solid argument for that. But let's face it, who knows for sure?
Yeah, I guess we'll only know when we pop off home and discover what's going on.
Yeah, I guess so. True. I'm not ready yet, but I'm sure that's true. To conclude our discussion of the types of soulmates, regardless of the ultimate truth, if indeed there is one, when all three types of soulmates, companion, karmic, twin flame, are taken into consideration, if we look at the people we've loved long and well in this lifetime alone, it becomes very clear that we're not limited to just one soulmate for all eternity, or even for each lifetime. What's important to keep in mind in a soulmate encounter is that external circumstances such as social status, religious, political, racial views, social conventions, age differences, in the end, do not and will not matter at all. Two souls meet when it's time for them to meet. In a true soulmate encounter, there are hardly any ifs, ands, or buts.
Or morals.
Well, Toni, morals may consist solely in the courage of listening to your heart and making a choice.
Yes, yes.
Perhaps this subject of soulmates can be succinctly summarized by this ancient Chinese proverb. An invisible thread connects those who are destined to meet, regardless of time, place, or circumstances. And the thread may stretch or tangle, but it'll never break.
Wow, there we go. Let's do our soulmate stories. Our listeners love a good soulmate story, don't they?
Yeah, they do. It's fun doing these. I'm going to begin with one from Gay. Now, Gay writes, I'm not a medium or in touch with my departed family in the traditional sense, but I know the strength of my connections nevertheless. We eloped in 1972, right out of college, and were married for 37 years before his death. Only after about 33 years of marriage did I realize he was a functional alcoholic. He began to lose his ability to conceal the addiction. The alcohol began to alter his perception of the world around him in odd ways, leading to paranoia and escalating to his being too drunk to go to work. Alcohol was always his best friend, his child, his mate. He protected it from all who dared question its place in his life. But then one day he knew and agreed to go into rehab. Within 30 days, he was discharged from the hospital, and for the first time since age 16, he saw the new world around him, no longer interpreted by the alcohol. He was 2 years sober when he learned that the pain in his right side was kidney cancer. When he had it scanned, the tumor had infiltrated an artery all the way to his heart. It isn't fair, he said. I overcame addictions to alcohol and cigarettes, and now I won't be around to enjoy life. Surgeries, chemo, radiation, and hope. We were so sure he'd beat the odds, but he didn't. The seizures began and the brain scan showed 8 small tumors, non-operable. The final round of seizures was devastating. And we knew it was his time to embrace death and not continue to struggle with the pain and the debilitation. It was then that I began to truly learn that we were soulmates. Our match occurred way before we took our first steps on this earth. And we had our chosen assignments and lessons to learn in this lifetime. His mission had been to experience and overcome addiction, the hardest battle he ever fought. Mine was to be his guide that gave him the space to grow. I admired his strength and determination, and then knew he needed me for this final stretch to be his protector. His brain couldn't make any more decisions, so I became his voice as he entered inpatient hospice. Some of our best conversations took place with me perched upon his bed as he straddled his 2 worlds. I told him, I'm going to miss you. And he responded, I'm going to miss you too. We stared at one another, faces inches apart. Then I knew. I touched my chest, then his, and told him, we'll always be connected, soul to soul. He quietly responded, I know. No more words were needed about our approaching separation. Later, as I sat on the patio outside of his hospital room, I watched trees sway in the afternoon breeze. I realized what I saw was so much more. The best way to describe it was I saw the fabric of life that connected all living things around me. As leaves shriveled and fell, the tree didn't die. As my husband's body was being shed, his soul wasn't going to die either. Would still be connected. He died. And for months afterward, I felt him walking beside me. To my right, slightly behind, wherever I went. I felt his spirit slowly gain its independence as I gained mine. Mm. He continues to drop by on occasion, sometimes giving me a hug from behind, offering non-spoken guidance. He has told me through a medium that he is proud of the decisions I've made, and he supports my choices. He approves of my current partner, and I do believe he had a hand in our finding one another.
Aww.
Beautiful story.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for sharing your story, Gay, and for sharing your wise outlook on life and death. And maybe for those of you who've lost a loved one to death, did you know that during recall or regression, they sometimes come to visit, and it happens both spontaneously, though I believe their soul orchestrated their living loved one to come for a session so that they could get through to them. But we also can facilitate such a connection, and it's a really beautiful thing to witness. So a client who visited me, still very fresh in grief, wanted to connect with his wife who had died only a few weeks before. And when he came, he told me they were soulmates. So they had a beautiful love story and a very blissful family life together. And, until she passed away from cancer. Anyway, he is a scientist. He's very logical and was not fully believing in this, yet he came seeking connection. So what happened was, after an amount of time in the session, his wife came through and he experienced an immense and intense time with her. And it was so extraordinary for him that he wrote about it in his book. So when that book is out and about, I will let you all know. I actually have a case study to share with you. It's I just need to get I got to get my story up here so I can read it to you. Let me see. These stories can be a little, there's a fair bit in here, but this is a really special story. This one's Alini's story. So this is what she said. So I'm going to read it to you. I was studying Greek with my sister, and one of the exercises we had to do was communicating with someone who was Greek living in another country. Our teacher gave me a name of a man called Nicholas. After asking permission to exchange email addresses, I sent off an email to Nicholas, and we decided to chat on Yahoo VoIP. And 18 hours later, we ended our chat. Whoa. When he sent me his picture, I told my sister, oh, he looks pretty cocky. Take no bullshit type. Like, the exact opposite to me. So I would speak to anyone from the homeless to the Prime Minister, and I treated everyone the same. Nicholas, I sensed, was the exact opposite. But I felt I needed to show him that just because he didn't take BS doesn't mean I do. Woo. I sent Nicholas an email with the poem, The Invitation from an Orion Mountain Dreamer. Unbeknown to me, Nicholas sent me the same poem to my email, which I checked later that night. How cute is that? So things developed there, or from there. He would phone me from Melbourne every morning when I left home and ensure that I arrived at the bus station every day. I used to leave home at 5:45, get my bus at 6, and most times it was late, but I enjoyed those chats. Then one day, I was on switchboard duty and I received a call from a customer who had landed at the airport and wanted urgently to go to the dentist. And I knew instinctively that it was Nicholas. I asked a colleague to take over the reception and we chatted for an hour. 3 days later, on the 18th of December 2005, 18 red roses were delivered to the office. It was from Nicholas. I didn't tell anyone at the office what was going on until that day, but we got married 2 years later in Melbourne, Australia. We were told that we couldn't have kids. Whilst Nicholas accepted the decision, I knew that there had to be a way. I always believed in higher powers, or all that is. So I prayed every night that I wanted Nicholas to experience what was it like to be a dad. And my dreams came true. 3 months later, we were pregnant. 5 pregnancy tests later, all celebrations. When Constantine was born, that's their son, I swear it was like I wasn't giving birth. It was the gynecologist and Nicholas. They were talking AFL and about Greece. And when Constantine was 9 months old, we found out Nicholas had stage 4 lung cancer. And he transitioned 9 months later. Oh, okay. The night he transitioned, I put Constantine to bed and then sat up and went to bed myself, and it was 10 p.m. I was exhausted. I put off the bedside lamp and woke up at 3 a.m. and the lamp was on. At first I thought, what the heck? Then it dawned on me that it was Nicholas telling me that he was all right. Every night it happened. Then after a while it stopped, and we would find coins and feathers in places. I'd set up a celebration of light area in our home. We have a battery-operated candle on all the time, and Constantine did a video telling family about our table. So proud of him. Each day with him is a blessing from God. We miss Nicholas, but we also celebrate the life that he shared with us. I was brought up to accept the angels and their higher powers, but Nicholas, being Orthodox, was the opposite. He believed in what the church taught. Spirit guides, and that wasn't a good subject for him. Well, I could literally hang on someone's tongue to just let them talk the whole day about spirit guides and angels, etc. So whilst each of us were not perfect beings, we were perfect for each other. That's Alini's story, and Alini and Nicholas. So it's pretty sweet, huh?
Beautiful story.
Yeah, and they're often a paradox of joy and trauma, aren't they? These
They are, Toni.
special stories.
I think we both got a little emotional during our reading.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
That happens.
In the next show, we'll be discussing the signs that you may indeed be soulmates with another. Actually, there is so much information on this one that we'll be dividing that topic into a couple of separate shows. So, you've been watching Toni and Dr. Bruce, where we discuss all matters related to reincarnation and past life regression. Do us a favor and tell your friends, or start a watch party. And don't forget, if you're in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia, I have a one-day soulmate workshop in May, on May the 25th, and it's going to be amazing. So don't miss it in case your soulmate is there. You can go to my website, ToniReillyInstitute.com. And Dr. Bruce, while I'm doing shameless promo, or housekeeping as I like to call it, remind us what you've got coming up.
Yeah, and by the way, I said viewers, if there's any way you can make Toni's workshop, do so. You'll be doing yourself a big favor. But in my case, to reiterate, to commemorate reaching 1,500 members in my group, Your Journey Was Never Meant to End, for a limited time, I'm going to offer my Soul's Journey Past Life Regression downloadable MP3 PDF program for $27, which is $20 off the normal price of $47. So if you've ever wanted to experience a past life regression at a uber affordable price, here's your chance. So just go to the link you see below, and you'll find a complete description of the program and everything you're going to receive when you order the program. When you get to the checkout, just enter the discount code, which is Journey27. That's one word, Journey27. And you'll pay just $27 instead of the normal $47. Why don't you take it this week, Toni?
Okay. So we've been here before, and we'll be here again. As a matter of fact, we'll be here next week.
And we hope you will too.
Yes, we do.
See ya.